Join me in my brutally honest review of the Insta360 One R and my top 9 reasons as to why you might want to add this multitasking camera to your kit, and 7 reasons why you might want to think carefully about your purchase and how it might be improved. And what I'm going to tell you might be surprising. Let's go. Now, this isn't a technical review giving you all the facts, figures, specs, and what 360 video is all about. There's lots of videos about that out there already. This is a video giving you my view on the user experience, the feel and practicality of using the One R as a seasoned user of Insta360 products and other 360 and action cameras. Now I've got that out of the way, let's get into my top 9 reasons why I really like the Insta360 One R and think you should consider it as part of your kit bag, and then 7 reasons why I think you really need to stop and consider whether you perhaps need a different solution or whether you need to buy another camera at all. Let me be upfront and say that Insta360 sent me the One R twin production pack to use, just so you know, and be sure to stay watching to the end when I will give you my overall brutally honest opinion on whether I would buy this camera or not and why. Alright, let's start with the positive. At number 1, it's the modular system of the One R. Insta360 have taken a different direction after their success with the classic and brilliant, in my view, One X, opting for a modular camera that can shoot 360 video as well as normal 4K video. Both come in the twin pack, as well as an additional option of the 1-inch sensor version, co-developed with Leica. This comes at an additional cost and is not something I own right now and is not covered in this review. So this design then allows you to physically replace the lenses with the other modules available now, and I also expect future modules available too. There have definitely been firm indications of a dual 1-inch lens setup for 3D and VR 180 shooting at high resolution, as well as some talk of an 8K version too. So at present we've got those 3 modules, as well as the core module which houses the brains of the setup as well as the screen. More about that later. And with the 5.7K 360 module and the 4K module in the twin pack with improved color processing and low light performance, that's perhaps a significant difference from the One X, but is it enough to make a difference? Let's get on to number 2, and I'll tell you once we get to the end. The mobile app for me is the shining brilliant feature of the One R system. This is where it absolutely excels and beats all comers hands down. I don't think any other camera app comes anywhere close to providing the capabilities and features that the Insta360 One R app does, and how it supports not only the One R but the One X too. Check out my video in the video description to find out more about how to connect your One X to the One R app, because it can be a bit fiddly, but trust me, it's worth your while to learn how to do it. Let me just run down the highlights of what you can do on the app quickly, because to be honest, just describing them fully to you would take an entire 10-minute video just by itself. Maybe I'll do that sometime too. So with the latest features added, like being able to edit jump cuts, trimming the sections of your video that you don't want and as many times as you like in the timeline, and then merging them all into one continuous clip without even downloading footage from your camera to the app. Now that is phenomenally useful to keep that precious space on your phone, meaning you don't have to do multiple exports too, and saving that space. You can really add some extra flair to your reframed edits through 360 transitions that use dynamic panning movements to feature your footage. And you also have all the standard reframing amazingness that we have become used to with the Insta360 apps, as well as all the great features in the Shot Lab, buried inside the stories little option here at the bottom, where the AI algorithm just works wonders to enable you to use features like the new freeze frame, flash dashes, clone trails, and parallel planets. The possibilities are really amazing, and Insta360 seems to be adding to them at an increasing rate of speed I can barely keep up. Now, to my mind, this app adds incredible value to the concept of buying a camera. You're not just buying the hardware, or maybe a camera with firmware updates every now and again. Insta360 are leading the field with the number of actual new features they are developing and making available to users on a very regular basis. And it's like getting a new camera every time they do it. The app enables you to create full-length videos that would previously have only been able to be done using advanced desktop software. It also includes automatic themes that makes creating social media friendly vlogs very simple. At number 3, we have the fact that the One R is waterproof, which is a big step up from the One X, which I'm always terrified of getting wet. Though I have got into a bit of a workflow of using my One X together with the Insta360 Go, which I whip out and use whenever the weather is looking marginal drizzly or where there may be some splashes around. But if you're in the market for a waterproof 360 camera that is a touch more robust than the One X, then definitely consider the One R. Well, as robust as a 360 camera can get anyway, these lenses are tricky, delicate things. At number 4, we have HDR video. Now, I think this is a great thing, and I have a video on how good HDR video works on the One X, and HDR video on the One R is more of the same great feature, delivering better dynamic range through simultaneously multiple recording of videos at different exposures and then blending these video tracks. But just be careful here. While Insta360's definition of HDR video is not necessarily wrong, they do fail to explain what it entails, and that definitely leaves the door open for people to assume that this HDR mode refers to the ability to shoot in one of the HDR video formats that modern TVs and high-end cameras support, like HDR10, HLG and Dolby Vision. It is not the same at all. HDR multiple exposure video might be a better description, and even if that's not the same as true HDR video, it's still very good. At number 5, we have the addition of a full color touchscreen to the One R compared with the One X, which just had that small text screen, which was sometimes difficult to see, especially at even a short distance away or in bright sunlight. Actually, not even bright sunlight. The screen is built into the core module and works well, although it is a touch on the small side, and I found it a little bit fiddly and slow to respond sometimes. A combination perhaps of my large fingers and perhaps my clumsiness too, and I suspect a processor that is pretty overloaded and running multiple processes at once, pushing it to the max of its capabilities. The modular concept plus the live screen does enable you to flip the 4K module and frame yourself up accurately, so you can get a good 4K video capture for vlogging too, if that's what you need. Number 6. Continuing the feature of the color screen, but worthy as a feature mention of its own because for a camera of this size it's pretty unique compared to its direct competitor, the GoPro Max. Now this feature is the screen on the Insta360 One R, enabling you to scroll around the live screen 360 preview when you have the 360 module attached, of course. So you can see exactly what you're capturing either before or while you're recording. I don't really use the feature that much, but for some people I know they absolutely love it. Number 7 is for those of you who are into photography with your 360 cameras, because that has just gone up another level with the 9-shot 360 HDR photo feature built into the Insta360 One R, with outputs available in both JPEG and RAW formats. If you're just capturing for social media, well, the dynamic range and the JPEG format will be good enough as a step above the usual JPEG single shot capture. The colors and contrast will be far superior to what you're used to. And for those of you who really do want to go to town, the RAW option will take up more space on your memory card, but it will enable you to get the most out of your HDR 360 photos. Now, related to this but subtly different is also the night mode photo mode, which can also work well in any time of day. This stacks 10 images together to produce a single image at the end, blending all those exposures together. It's designed to bring out maximum details in low light conditions, but it tends to work best with some decent lighting conditions. Hey, but it's a heck of a lot better than you would get otherwise when your light is a bit marginal and challenging. We are up to number 8, and this is a little godsend. When you get the twin pack, you also get a rubber lens cover for the 360 module lenses included. I had to purchase this separately for the Insta360 One X after I had already shattered one lens when I fell over one day. Yeah. Ever since then, I put the rubber cover on as soon as I finish shooting and take it off just before I start shooting. I recommend you do the same. And it's great that the One R comes with this in the pack. I just wish that they had included one other low-cost item in the pack as well. Keep watching to find out what I think Insta360 missed out of this twin pack. At number 9, and I'm going to list this as a positive feature here for now, but it may make an appearance elsewhere, the One R is practical not pretty. Yes, it's blocky, but Insta360 have focused on making the camera usable and fun for those wanting great results with minimal effort. And for this reason of practicality, it has chosen not to make a 1X version 2 at this point with the 8K video that everyone was expecting. And for that, I actually applaud Insta360's bravery. Processing 8K video would be impossible to do on a mobile platform right now, while still maintaining a great user experience that Insta360 really wants to ensure that the customer has. And all this hinges on the hardware doing the job it's meant to do well, producing high quality outputs that you can easily shape and manipulate using either the mobile app or the Insta360 desktop platform for slightly higher quality results. But for me, it is this focus on practicality and user experience that really makes the Insta360 One R, and it is its best recommendation. Okay, those are the pros, so let's now consider the 7 reasons why I think you might want to think twice before buying the Insta360 One R. Let's get back to the practical and not pretty point again. It really won't win any beauty contests with its 80s blocky design and chunky feel, annoying notification sounds that seem to be really loud, and especially when you compare the design with the smooth lines of the One X, a far better looking camera which feels more pleasing in the hand too. I'm just not into the design aesthetic of the One R. Sorry, not sorry. The modular system with the cage is practical, but for me it kind of makes it less usable than it could be. I don't like the fact that you have to have it in the cage to keep the modules stably locked together and on the battery base. You still need a kind of a cage if you're going to use the vertical battery too, although with the extended battery that doesn't appear to be the case, which is a bit of a mystery. The modular concept appears to be great in theory, but in reality I have not reconfigured the camera even once when I've been out shooting with the camera. I've just used my GoPro Hero 7 instead if I need to have stabilized 4K footage in a rugged situation where my iPhone 11 Pro Max won't do the job, because that also has a very cool wide lens available too. So maybe, just maybe, Insta360 might consider adding a hero mode to the 360 module footage instead, like the GoPro Max, enabling 1080p footage to be rendered out of a single lens capture, when that might be all you need for a simple vlogging type short straight out of the camera shot. The weight of the One R starts to add up once you snap the modules together, then also put it on the cage, and then also fix the tripod mount on. Even if you skip that last step and then fit it onto some action camera tripod using the GoPro type prongs, it still acts as quite a weight on any long levers that you might have set up, especially when using this on any extended stick. When you compare the weight of the One R with the One X and then factor in the length of any selfie stick, then you could be setting yourself up for some pretty damaging fails and snaps from the One R somehow snapping off the stick. This is probably the biggest issue for me, the quality of the stitching and 360 video for the One R compared to the One X. And this is all about the thickness of the One R compared to the thinness of the One X. And you can see this video here, you can see just how bad the stitch line can be, especially at short range. And it is entirely due to the thickness of the One R. It is a chunky little beast. So I have to be far more conscious about the orientation of the camera compared to how I use my One X. And for me, this is a deal breaker. The sound in the One R is okay, but no better than that. There are some solutions, but they haven't proved to be great or all that practical. It's good that there is an option to connect to a Bluetooth mic, but in my video test of the AirPods Pro and the Beats X compared to the native audio, show that there is quite a lag or latency with these Bluetooth mics, leading to poor synchronizing between sound and video in the output. It's also crackly and muddy sounding, leading to unusable footage really. You can check out more in the link above here. It's also good that you can connect an external mic to the camera through the USB-C port, but with the external cage that comes with the camera not having any attachment points for a mic and no mic connector included in the package, I mean, they're only charging a small amount for it, but really I think it should have been included in the package. All this means a couple of accessories you're going to have to buy before you can use a small mic to mount on the cage with a wired connection to that cage, or perhaps using something like the Rode Wireless Go. So there are solutions to getting better audio, but they are limited and will require you to purchase additional equipment to get it connected and mounted into the One R system. The app is truly amazing, but it does crash a lot, and this can be frustrating. Just bear in mind that this is probably the price we pay for rapid development of the app so that it can work on multiple types of devices with varying versions of platforms. It does fall over a lot, certainly in comparison with the One X app. Now finally, this is a good thing. The One R app and most of its additional features can be used by the One X. If you know how to connect your One X to your device correctly, find out more about how to do that in the video linked above, down here and up here. This is great and I use this a lot, but it does mean that I probably don't use my One R as much as I otherwise would. And if I didn't have this One R, well, knowing what I know now, I probably wouldn't upgrade from my One X. And that's the brutally honest truth. If you already have a One X, well, I use the One R app and I wouldn't bother upgrading. I don't think there's enough value add here, especially if you already own a relatively new GoPro like the Hero 7 or Hero 8 Black. But if you don't have a One X, well then the One R is probably the best out there right now, especially as the One X becomes less and less available to buy. Is the Insta360 One R the jack of all trades and master of none? Probably. Except when it comes to the app, where it does outperform the competition, no question. Watch this video here for why the Insta360 One X is still an incredibly good camera in 2020. And my name is Saab Johal. Good night. Thanks for watching.